I'm with Mark Regev, the brand new ambassador to Great Britain from Israel. Now, Mark, what's it like for you being the ambassador of Israel?
It's an honor and a privilege to represent the new state of Israel, only 68 years old, here in the United Kingdom. Britain and Israel share a long history together. But ultimately what unites us today is that we are two free peoples, two democratic peoples, two countries that cherish pluralism and tolerance, freedom, and this is a very strong bond.
Now, you're representing Israel. What are some of the biggest threats that Israel faces today?
Obviously, the Middle East is going through a very, very violent and tumultuous period. We are seeing countries virtually disintegrate before our eyes. Iraq, Libya, Syria, countries torn apart, falling apart. And we're seeing radical extremists move into the cracks. And they are not good for anyone. They are an enemy of all free peoples. And so in this turbulent and violent Middle East, Israel has many challenges, but I am confident that we will be strong enough to meet those challenges.
Is ISIS a threat to Israel and to the Palestinians as well?
ISIS, this sort of extremism, this sort of militancy, is a threat to everyone. I mean, let's be clear, they target Jews and Christians and other non-Muslims, but they also target Muslims themselves who don't accept their very extreme brand of Islamism. And it's actually interesting because of the threat posed by these extremists who threaten us all. We are seeing Israel working closely with Arab governments to fight this common threat, and it's actually helping, maybe in a not an evident way. It's bringing people together in this common struggle against this sort of this nihilism.
Now, Israel has recently been facing many lone wolf attacks. We've had stabbings and shootings and car ramming attacks into bus stops. How can the nation deal with something like this when it's a lone wolf?
It's a problem, and there's no simple answer. But let's be clear, it's Israel's problem, but it's not only Israel's problem. We've seen these sort of knifing attacks across Europe. We've seen these drive-by attacks, deliberately ramming civilians. We've seen it in Israel, but we've seen it in France. This phenomena of extreme Islamist terrorism is a threat to us all. Now, I wish I could tell you I have a magic solution. I don't have a magic solution. We must be strong. One of the most important things in dealing with this sort of what's called lone wolf terrorism is to deal with the incitement, because people are being radicalized. They're being poisoned by a message of hate that is there on the internet. And I think we have to deal with this issue of incitement. People are not born to hate, they're being taught to hate. And we have to deal with the preachers of hate.
Now, you've represented Israel in the media. Why is the media so biased against Israel?
The media is critical. I accept that as a fact. Some people would even argue that their job is to be critical. It's my job to make the best case I can for my country, and I hope I'm doing that.
Does it make you angry sometimes when they twist the story to denigrate Israel?
I'm a human being, and so obviously at times I can get angry, but I always try to be professional. I always think I've got to say my truth. I've got to make the case for my country, and that case is a good case. I mean, ultimately, in the vast Middle East, from North Africa through to Central Asia, in the whole greater Middle East, there's only one true democracy, only one country where governments are elected in elections. There's only one country with a free press, with a free trade union movement, which gives freedom of religion. There's only one country with free universities, freedom of speech, freedom of thought. Those freedoms are enshrined in Israeli behavior, and I have a lot as an Israeli. I have a lot that I can be proud of.
Now, we hear a lot about Zionism, and it seems like Zionism has become the new anti-Semitism. Is that the case?
I think it's true. I think people sometimes disguise hatred for Jewish people, saying, no, we only hate the Jewish state. But I think it is anti-Semitism to say that the Jewish people alone on this planet are the only people not entitled to national self-determination. Look, if you say you believe in the principle of peoples having the right to national self-expression, to independence and sovereignty, and of all peoples on this planet, you say only the Jews don't have that right. What's that all about?
So it's okay to criticize Israel, but when it's a heart of hatred.
Look, Israelis are self-critical. You just have to read Israeli newspapers, watch the debates in our Knesset, in our parliament. Israelis are self-critical. Everything the Prime Minister says in my country is open to very vibrant public debate. It's not about legitimate criticism. It's about there are those out there who are demonizing the Jewish people and the Jewish state. There are people who are preaching hatred. And unfortunately, that is anti-Semitism.
Yeah. And how can Christians support Israel today?
I think it's important that all of Israel's friends in the Christian community speak up. I've just spoken today, and I talked about it's important for people to stand up for Israel, to make sure that their voices are heard, especially Christians who live in democratic countries, where governments respond to public opinion, to letters from their members of parliament who respond to letters from their constituents. People who support Israel, people who want to show solidarity with Israel, it's important that they make their voices heard, because I can say something that's obvious. Israel's detractors are not embarrassed about making their voices heard. So it's crucial that Israel's Christian friends also stand up and be counted.
Why do you do what you do?
I believe in what I do. I couldn't do it if I didn't believe in it. My father was born in 1931 in Magdeburg, Germany. It was the wrong place and the wrong time to be born a Jew. Right? That his family survived the Holocaust when many other Jewish families from the city where he was born didn't. That's something I don't take for granted. And I often think, had there been an Israel in 1938 instead of 10 years later, in 1948, in other words, had Israel been in existence before the Second World War, how many innocent lives we could have saved. There would have been a refuge. There would have been a place for all those people who wanted to flee Nazi Europe. There would have been a place for them to go. And I have that very strong conviction that Israel's cause is ultimately a just cause, a righteous cause. And it is my honor, and I say that very sincerely, it is my honor to represent my country.
What's your prayer finally for the nation of Israel?
I want to see peace. I want to see peace between Israel and our neighbors. A peace based on security, a peace based on justice, a peace based on recognition, mutual recognition. I'd like us to be able to build a Middle East not on a Middle East of conflict and of hatred, but a Middle East of cooperation, a Middle East of reconciliation. I hope that's possible.
Well, Ambassador Mark Regev, thank you very much.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.